So some analysis on the handing over of these districts. Let's join France 24's Luke Shrago. I mean, Luke, walk us through what these districts were actually used for in the past.
Well, the one thing you have to remember is that these districts that were around Nagorno-Karabakh proper never really had any official status. They were never integrated into Nagorno-Karabakh, or what the Armenians call the Republic of Artsakh. In fact, they were used from the end of the war in the 1990s as a buffer zone, really to keep distance between Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan. Now, certainly some people moved in, certainly to Aghdam, but it really wasn't very many, perhaps a little agricultural kind of activity around population centres, which for the most part remained ghost towns. You can draw the difference between Kelbajar and Lachin in terms of the geographical location. That gave something of a difference there, because sandwiched as they are between Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia, that meant that there are more people there. Now, we can see the difference there in the terms that the deadline for handing over Kelbajar was pushed back to the 25th of November. What Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev said was, in fact, due to humanitarian considerations. That simply there are more people there who need to leave and to move out, and it does take time to get that number of people to move on. Of course, people were assuming that over the years, as time went by from the end of the war, it's been nearly 30 years, remember, that as time wore by, that they would simply hold on to these regions, even though they had no official status. And it's left the Armenians with an extremely bitter pill to swallow, mainly because it's not that they were given away in terms of negotiation, in which case Armenia might have gained something back. They've had to be handed over as part of a military loss, leaving Armenia to get nothing in return.
A bitter pill, you said there, Luke. I mean, this has been seen as a defeat for Armenia, which has essentially impacted the political landscape, particularly when it comes to Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, who is facing the pressure. The pressure is being ramped up there.
Very much. Ever since the end of the conflict, the Armenian government has been scrambling to shore itself up in the face of what is effectively mass anger. They want the Armenian people want someone held accountable. Now, Nikol Pashinyan has been on the defensive. Early on, he came out. He does a lot of these social media addresses, a lot of Facebook Lives, that kind of thing. When he was saying that he simply had no choice but to hand over, that it was the army that was pushing him to sign, otherwise they would have lost all of Nagorno-Karabakh within days, which is what they were saying at the time. But as the last week has worn on, we've seen him take a much more combative stance. He's really been digging in, and it's almost like he's sweeping clean. The last few days have seen both a host of resignations and replacements in terms of ministers. The foreign minister has gone, the emergency situations minister has gone, the labour minister has gone, and the minister of defence has gone. All of them, or at least most of them, replaced with advisors close to Nikol Pashinyan himself. Now, you could look at that as an attempt to try and scapegoat people for not doing their jobs, but it's highly unlikely that's going to be effective. Pashinyan is seen as the man in control, the man in the driving seat. And while it may be it's somewhat strange for us to look at and say, why has he not yet gone? Almost anywhere else you would have seen some sort of situation like this in the face of such a crushing defeat. And make no mistake, it was a defeat. The government would have gone, but the simple fact remains is that there is no one to replace him. Remember that just 2 years ago he replaced the old regime in the Velvet Revolution, and they are so deeply unpopular that people do not yet want them back. The opposition has been pushing people out into the streets, or at least trying to. When I was still in Yerevan, the protest that I saw didn't really number more than around about 1,000 people. So they've been failing to gain this traction, and it just goes to show that people, even given Pashinyan's deep unpopularity, the prevailing idea is that it's better the devil you know than the worst devil you also know.
All right, Luke Shrago bringing us some analysis on what Azerbaijan says its troops entering the district of Aghdam this Friday. Thank you.